Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of What's New in Serverless 360. I'm Shruti and with me is Dhanushya from the Serverless 360 team. Our focus today is on highlighting the most recent releases from Serverless 360 for the month of October along with the new features we have added to the product. So for those who don't know, Serverless 360 is an advanced cloud management platform designed specifically for Microsoft Azure, offering a comprehensive suite of tools within the 4 modules shown for efficient monitoring, tracing, remediation, and governance of your Azure ecosystem. Now, moving on to the next slide to see the latest product news and what's latest from the Serverless 360 community, we have some newly released YouTube videos on topics like simplifying Azure for non-technical users, a use case video demonstrating on how you can reduce your Azure spend and handling scheduled or unscheduled downtimes in Azure Logic apps without complex code. And when it comes to the audio side of things, we have got a new podcast from the Azure MVP, Satish Veerapandian, which uncovers the shift from Azure Application Insights to Azure Monitoring Agent and provides information on the capabilities of Gusto query language. Next up, for all the avid readers out there, we have dropped blogs on topics like replaying messages in Azure Service Bus Dead Letter Queue, Azure Functions, Distributed Tracing, and the 6 best Azure FinOps tools for cost optimization. You can check it out by clicking on the link in the description. We trust you'll find these resources valuable, and now I'll hand it over to Dhanushya to roll out the latest product features and give us a first-hand look through a demo.
Thanks Shruti. Hello everyone. Let me walk you through the items released on October month. In the Business Application module, we've brought in the support for runs-related metrics to Data Factory pipelines, which allows the users to monitor the pipelines based on the run failures. Next, we've extended the support of AutoMap for all the resource types. App registration tags and Power Automate environment filters were added, which I will explain in detail later. The next feature in Business Application is Virtual Network Gateway Connection Monitoring. We've introduced Virtual Network Gateway as a new resource type explicitly to monitor the connections of the gateways. Then, we've added the option to download the widget data of the dashboards in the Business Application. We've brought in the ability to add API Endpoints from an OpenAPI specification where we can now add a group of API Endpoints at once and monitor the same. Next feature is Email Subject Customization in Business Application Monitoring to provide the subject along with the time zone for the email alerts. Also in the Business Application section, we've now provided the option to add child resources while adding the parent resources in an application. An improvement has also been made to filter the automated task alerts. Moving to the BAM module, Sync Transactions is one of the features in which we've brought in the ability to compare the set of existing transactions with the transactions you're trying to import in. Next feature in BAM is the stage instance querying in dashboards. Here, we've brought in the ability to view the details of the stage instances along with the transactions in a single view. In the Cost Analyzer module, we've brought in support for SQL Elastic Pool in scheduling as well as rightsizing. We've also brought in the ability to export the rightsizing recommendations. Next, we have reports based on analysis views. This allows the users to create monitors from the analysis section without having to switch to the monitoring section. Few other performance improvements have also been made in Cost Analyzer, for which I'll be providing a comprehensive explanation at a later point. Let me now demonstrate the features. We'll start with the Data Factory pipeline monitoring in Business Application module. We were monitoring the Data Factory pipeline with only the activity run metrics earlier. We've now brought in the ability to monitor the resource using the pipeline run metrics as well. The same is available in monitoring profiles and dashboards. Moving on to the next feature in AutoMap, any number of app registrations can now be added in a single go using the tags. In the filter type, we did not have Power Automate environment and app registration tag earlier. We've brought in the same now. You can click upon the app registration tag and enter the appropriate tag here. We've also brought in support for child resource types like Service Bus Queue and Service Bus Topics. Apart from providing the details of the parent resources like Service Bus namespaces, we've now delved into the second level to automap the child resources as well. The next feature in Business Application is the Virtual Network Gateway Connection Monitoring. Virtual Network Gateway is introduced as a new resource type with the explicit purpose of monitoring its connections. Let me show you an example by associating a gateway to our business application. You'll be able to select the resources, and in the monitoring section, along with its metrics, you'll also get to see the monitor status of the connections. So now, in the detailed view of the resource, you'll be provided with the essential part along with the dashboard to configure the widgets based on its metrics. In the monitoring section, you'll get to see the gateway's connections, where you can associate your rules and get notified. The same is available in monitoring profiles as well. Let's now look into the next feature, which is the option to download all the widgets of the dashboard with a single click. So initially, it would have been a tedious process for the user to download the data of the widgets one by one. With this new option being brought in, users can conveniently download all widget data into a single workbook, with each widget separated into individual worksheets. Let me now demonstrate the adding API endpoints from OpenAPI specification feature. Previously, we could only add one API endpoint at a time. We have now brought in the Add from Swagger option, wherein the APIs can be added in bulk using the specification URL or the source JSON file. So here, when you enter a URL, you can import all the APIs available within the specified URL. Alternatively, you can also upload a file containing multiple APIs. This feature is particularly beneficial for users who need to monitor and configure a large number of API endpoints. To get started, you'll need to select the APIs you want to work with and provide the necessary configuration by setting up the authorization type and header. You can also set up the monitor rules here. This can either be done in bulk for all the selected APIs or individually by clicking on the configure option here. Finally, click on Add to associate all the chosen API endpoints. Let's now proceed with the next feature in business application, which is customizing email subjects within the monitoring section. We have introduced the capability for the users to configure alert settings by specifying an email subject, which will be included in all alerts generated for this specific business application. Additionally, we've also included the time zone of the respective business application into the email subject. Let me now demonstrate the option to add child resources in business application. Earlier, when you had to associate a resource, say Azure Function App, you had to manually link all the functions of that particular function app. However, with the new Associate Child Resources option, you can effortlessly associate all the child resources of the selected function apps. This is applicable for resource types like API services, Azure Function Apps, Cosmos SQL Database, Data Factories, Event Grid Domains, Logic App Standard, Service Bus Topics, and Web Apps. We've introduced an enhancement in business application which involves filtering the automated task alerts. So within the advanced settings of the automated task configuration, we've got two new options. By enabling the first option, you will receive notifications only when the automated task fails. The second option allows you to receive alerts when the completed count of the automated task is greater than 0. Next, we'll explore the features in the BAM module starting with the sync transactions. Let's consider a scenario in which a user manages multiple accounts, say staging and production. With each release, the user may create or delete several transaction stages. After successfully completing a release, they may wish to replicate these changes in the production account. To facilitate this, we offer export and import options. In the past, importing a transaction required the user to delete the existing transaction, which could obviously interrupt the tracking flow. Now, we provide an option to sync the transactions. In the staging account, user can export the modified transactions and import them into the production account. We compare the existing transactions with the selected JSON file. You'll get to see the transactions categorized as added, modified, no change, and not found. You can review the changes in the modified transactions. Here you'll get to see the comparison between old values and the new values. So now select the transactions you want and then click on Proceed to import them into the current business process. Next, let's move to the stage instance querying feature within the dashboards. Earlier, we did not have an option to view multiple stage instances in a single view. We've now brought in that option in dashboards. While configuring a widget, you can choose between stage and transaction querying. I'll provide an example of a dashboard depicting widgets of multiple stage instances. So when there are millions of events being used, user will find it efficient to view the stage level details. Let's now delve into the features of cost analyzer, starting with SQL Elastic Pool in Optimization Scheduling and Rightsizing. We've now brought in SQL Elastic Pool as a new resource type in the Schedules and Rightsizing. You'll be able to associate the resources from here. You can also modify the up configuration and down configuration based on the available DTO-based tiers and vCore-based tiers. So based on your selections, you'll be able to see the estimated cost as well as the savings. Clicking on this option allows you to modify the DTO counts as well as the vCore counts. Once you've successfully associated your resources, you'll get to see your Elastic Pools being optimized during downtimes, saving you unnecessary expenses. In the Rightsizing section, you can view the recommendations of your Elastic Pools. Upon clicking on it, you'll get to see a chart view of the resource utilization along with the current SKU and recommended SKU. You can either apply the recommended SKU directly from here or manually configure from the list of supported SKUs, which then gets applied to the Elastic Pool. Next, we've implemented the ability to export the rightsizing and reservation-based recommendations, where you'll be able to download it in Excel format. Now, let's explore the reports based on analysis views. Previously, we were not able to monitor any of the views. Now, we've brought in the option to provide a budget to monitor any of the views you've saved. Here in the Actions menu, you'll be able to create a monitor. Provide the name, time interval, and an optional description for your monitor. The configuration you've set in the view will be added as a rule for the monitor. You can now configure your static or dynamic budget to detect the violations of the monitor. You'll also be able to navigate into the respective monitor right from here. Let me show you a sample alert. Here you have the option to navigate into the corresponding view with the violated time range. Let's now check out the performance improvements we've brought in Cost Analyzer. Earlier, we got performance issues when the subscription size was relatively huge. We've changed the cost fetching mechanism in such a way that there is a significant improvement in the performance. Also, in the resource filtering section, when dealing with the high number of resources in the subscription, users faced challenges in viewing the resources. We've addressed this by implementing virtual scrolling, which greatly improves performance. Additionally, we've also introduced tag filters at the scope level. This feature proves valuable for organizations that don't rely on resource groups to organize their resources, but instead use tags for their segregation. That's all about the October release features. Let's now look into the upcoming release items. In the Business Application module, we'll be bringing in support for a new resource type, Automation Runbooks. The other feature is the Azure SQL Query Consumption Analysis. In the Cost Analyzer module, we'll be supporting 3 new resource types like Data Factory Pipeline, Storage Account, and Synapse Pipeline in the Optimization section. The next feature will be Virtual Machine Size Change in the Optimization Schedules. Thank you all. I'll hand it over to Shruti now.
Thanks for the informative updates, Dhanushya. So for people interested in knowing about Serverless 360, do have a scan of this QR to get a personalized demo. You can also check out the description box for the links of blogs, YouTube videos mentioned, and also have access to the release notes of the current and previous month features. Thank you.